If I had to count all the times I didn't do something because there was no one to do it with, I'd probably still be counting. Somewhere down the track, I developed this nasty habit of doing something only if I had people to go with. Because I think for a long time, I found it really hard to be alone. And if I was alone, I'd be finding ways not to be. But this year, I started noticing more and more who I was when no one else was around.
Hello, good morning. I just thought I would talk a little bit about being alone and seeing it as we're in this gorgeous retreat alone. Why not talk about it? Because I think being alone in your own company can be a really uncomfortable thing. I think deep down you know if you've really spent time alone with yourself or not. And when you do, especially for the first time or the first couple times, I think the reason why it's so scary is because it's basically like meeting up with someone that you've only ever heard of. Like you kind of know them, but you don't know them well enough. And for a lot of people, including myself, that was just something that was so scary. It was something that my brain freaks me out about. For example, even when I was driving, I would feel like I needed to call someone, or if I was having a meal by myself, I'd either call someone or put on a TV show. I think it's those little things that are intended to be solo activities. We force ourselves into making them not be solo activities, and I got so anxious just having to spend time with myself. Yeah, I've been asking myself why a lot more.
You know when you sit in an interview and you're asked that daunting question, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And you say something like, you're analytical and creative, but that can make you a perfectionist, but you're working on it by consciously. Anyways, clearly it's an important question to ask to get to know someone quick and meaningfully if they're asking it in interviews. So what would happen if we asked ourselves those questions, but on a more personal note?
You know, as weird as it feels to do, I think at several points in my life, I've really tried to consciously sit down and write down, I guess, like a pros and cons list of myself. And I know that some of you watching have probably done that for someone else, maybe someone you're considering as a partner or even as a friend. But I think it's really important to do it on yourself and just reflect on who you are and who you want to be, what you like and what you don't like, what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. I feel like it's such an underrated thing to do. It's interesting because I think it reveals all these insights on who you are, more so than any Myers-Briggs test could do. Because I think 50% of every solution is just being aware of what the actual root of the issue is. I think once you're aware of that gap between who you are today and who you actually really want to be, your truest, highest form of yourself, I guess as people say, it's only then that you can actually take the actionable steps in your day-to-day life to try, close that gap. Isn't that crazy? I think it's pretty crazy, to be honest. It's like unlocking a superpower, just being aware and conscious of how you're showing up. I think it's a beautiful thing, actually. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye to this beautiful cabin. This trip has been really nice for reflecting, and I've used it as one of those periodic times where I have an interview with myself. I honestly really think we should ask ourselves interview questions, but on a personal level, like a Cards Against Humanity. No, sorry, the We're Not Really Strangers card version. But anyways, this trip has been so good. Sad to see it's over, but definitely need to do this more.